In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up a trailing stop loss on the Blofin futures market. Let's get into the video. And here's how to set up a trailing stop loss, and I'll demonstrate using the Bitcoin versus Tether pairing. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and switch this over to a daily chart, something like this. Now, before setting up my trailing stop loss, I'll obviously have to get myself into a small position here. So what I'll do is I'll come up here to the order panel, and I'll just mark it into a small Bitcoin long position. Something like this will be perfectly fine. Confirm. Now I'm in my small long position. To set up a trailing stop loss for this position, I'm going to come up here to the order panel. I'm going to hover over this triangle next to trigger. Then in this little drop down menu, we'll click right here where it says trailing stop. In this box here, we can choose a variance. We can use a percentage of the asset, or if you click on this little triangle right here, you'll see that you'll also have the option to set a USDT variance. For this demonstration, I'll select that option. Now I can choose a tether variance that this trailing stop loss will follow behind price action. So just for the purposes of demonstration, I'll go ahead and I'll put in 1000 tether. This means that the trailing stop loss will be following behind price action by 1000 tether. Next, I need to choose how much of this position I wish to sell if in the future this trailing stop loss gets hit. And for this demonstration, I'll use the slider bar and I'll just slide this up to 100%. So if this trailing stop loss gets hit in the future, I'll be selling 100% of my position. The next thing I like to do is come down here and click where it says reduce only. And this ensures that I don't sell my position and then open a trade in the opposite direction. Now with a trailing stop loss, that's unlikely to happen, but I like to click on reduce only just to make sure of that. So now that I have this trailing stop loss set up, I'm going to come down here and click where it says sell short. Then you'll get your order confirmation pop-up window so you can confirm the details of your trailing stop. This looks fine to me, so I'm going to go ahead and click on confirm. And now I've set a trailing stop loss. So if Bitcoin does continue to work to the upside like so, this trailing stop loss will be following behind by 1000 tether. In the future, when Bitcoin pulls back by 1000 tether, it's going to hit that trailing stop loss and it'll be selling my position. I can see the details of my trailing stop loss if I come down here and click where it says open orders. Then click right here on trailing stop. And here's where you'll be able to see your trailing stop loss. If at any point you want to cancel this trailing stop loss, just come over here on the right hand side and click on cancel. And just like that, I removed that trailing stop loss. Now you can also add an activation price to your trailing stop loss. So to get that done, we'll come back up here to the order panel. We'll make sure we're set to trailing stop loss. And now we'll choose our variance. As I mentioned before, we can use a percentage or we can click here and select USDT variance. And for this demonstration, I'll do 1000 tether again, just like so. Now I'll choose how much of the position I wish to sell if the trailing stop loss gets hit. I'll do 100% again, just like so. Now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to check on reduce only. Now we can check this box right here that says activation price. And here's where we can enter a price point that activates the trailing stop loss. So let's head on over here to the chart. And let's imagine that I want to set an activation price somewhere just above resistance right here. We can clearly see that if Bitcoin gets above that level, it's going to be in a blue sky breakout and it will be going through price discovery once again. And that's usually where I like to use a trailing stop loss. So what I'll do is I'll grab a horizontal here from this little tab and I'm going to go ahead and mark out somewhere just above resistance, maybe something like this. Now I can see a price point on the y-axis of the chart coming in at 74,234. And let's imagine that I want to use that as my activation price. I'll come back down here and I'll type that in. So 74,234. Now that I have this set up the way that I want it, I'm going to come down here and click on sell short. Now we'll get our order confirmation details here. And you can see this time that we have an activation price. So this trailing stop loss will not be activated until the price point of 74,234 gets hit. When that condition gets met, then the trailing stop loss will begin to trail behind price action. So this looks fine to me. I'm going to come over here and click on confirm. Now I've set up that trailing stop loss to become active only if Bitcoin breaks out to a new all-time high. So if Bitcoin comes up, hits the activation price of 74,234, that's going to activate the trailing stop loss to follow behind price action by 1000 tether. So as price continues to move to the upside from here, that trailing stop loss will be trailing behind by 1000 tether. When price action suddenly reverses by 1000 tether, it's going to hit that trailing stop loss and be locking in my profit. Once again, we can find the details of that trailing stop if we come down here, click on open orders, then click on trailing stop. And here's where you'll be able to see the details of your trailing stop loss. If you want to cancel it, just come over here on the right hand side and click on cancel. And just like that, I canceled that order. So that's how you can set up a trailing stop loss and how you can use an activation price to activate the trailing stop loss. Typically, I only use a trailing stop loss when an asset is going through price discovery, so breaking out to new all-time highs. Of course, there are other strategies for using trailing stop losses, and that's totally up to you how you wish to use this tool. What I would suggest is look left on the chart and try to figure out what a normal price movement is for the asset that you're looking to set up a trailing stop loss for. Maybe measure some of these ranges and get to know how the asset likes to behave. That way you can minimize the risk of getting stopped out too soon. You don't want to get stopped out on a normal price fluctuation. Over here on the left-hand side of the chart, inside your drawing tools, if you click on this little triangle right here, you can find yourself a little price range tool. Just give that a click. Then you can come over here to the chart and you can start measuring some of these pullbacks. Like we can measure this one right here. We can see that there was a 10% pullback in that area. We can proceed to measure another pullback right here, like so. You can see that there was a 9.55% pullback there. We can see here that there was a greater correction if we measure down like so. We can see that this correction was 21%. But what we're looking for is we're just looking for the minor pullbacks. Like in here, for example, pullback like this, you can see that one was 5%. So you can get a general idea of what normal pullbacks are like. I wouldn't necessarily suggest holding through a big correction like 21% or anything, but you know what I mean. Just take some time, measure some things out, get the feel for how the asset likes to behave, and then you can choose an appropriate trailing variance. You don't want to get stopped out on a normal price movement, but that's how you get that done. And there you have it. That's how you can set up a trailing stop loss on the Blofin futures market. If you got some value out of that, don't forget to leave me a like and hit subscribe for future content. Also, feel free to check out my other Blofin tutorials, which I've put together in a playlist on my YouTube channel. Thanks so much for coming by and checking out this video. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one, and until I do, have yourself a powerful day.